Hey everyone, it is Joanna with Let's Talk About It, and
Tammy Warner.
this is part two where we're going to be talking about bonds, school budgets, and project managers. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, I just want to do a quick update on the tax warrants. On the tax warrant, it shows that they're contributions, but actually it's not. I think the town is set up as reimbursements, which means they only pay when someone files for unemployment. And I do know that probably the first two were someone that had filed that it was being contested. The other two I'm not sure about, and I'm not sure why it took so long to get paid, but I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't a miscontribution.
So let's talk about project managers for a minute. I think Craig is the one that brought this up because it would appear that the town supervisor was so far behind. Um, and I just did a little research. I'm just going to blurt this out. Meaning a project manager like we should have had a project manager overseeing the landfill project, quite honestly, instead of anybody on the town board. So we have the sidewalk project coming up. We have the park project coming up. Potentially the water and sewer, which that's a whole other nightmare. But so let's do this quick. The main benefit of having a dedicated project manager instead of relying solely on the town supervisor is focus and expertise. A project manager's entire role is to plan, coordinate, and track complex projects like sidewalks or park improvements from start to finish, making sure timelines are met, contractors are held accountable, and costs stay under control. In contrast, a town supervisor is responsible for overseeing all aspects of town government, which can make it difficult to give one large capital project the consistent, detailed attention it requires. There's also a strong benefit in terms of accountability and transparency, which would be great. Project manager typically provides regular progress reports, maintains clear documentation, and creates a structured process for decision making. This can help ensure that changes in scope, cost overruns, or delays are identified early and communicated clearly to the board and the public rather than being discovered after the fact. This is one thing I will say about the landfill project. There was not a whole lot of communication to the public about that. Another advantage with cost control and risk management. Especially projects tied to grants, engineering requirements, and strict timelines, having someone experienced in managing those moving parts can help protect the town financially, and it helps separate roles and reduce pressure on elected officials. The cost of and again, this is just estimated, the cost of a project manager for a project like a $500,000 sidewalk or park improvement is typically estimated as a percentage of the total project cost. Usually it's in the range of a 5 to 10%, which depending on how the role is. In some cases, especially in smaller towns, the role might be scaled down or shared with an engineer or consultant, which could bring the cost closer to the lower end of that range. I definitely think it's something to think about because with the landfill, it took up a lot of the town supervisor's time. She's
Mhm.
got someone helping her do human resources, whole other subject. Um, not being keeping up on emails, not so I think that's a really great idea. But let's talk about the bond. Let's talk about bonds. So I was looking at the numbers. So for example, a $500,000 bond, 20 years, 3.6 interest rate, which you know that can go up. The annual payment with principal plus interest is roughly $35,500 per year. Total paid over 20 years is 710,000. Total interest paid is 210,000. Obviously, it assumes a standard amortized bond. Um, so my question is we're all aging out, right? So who's going to carry that burden? Our children and
Right.
our grandchildren.
Exactly.
When we take on long-term debt, we're making a decision that extends well beyond the people currently in office or even those currently living here. Bonds like these are designed to be paid over decades, which means future residents, our children and grandchildren, will share in the responsibility of paying for decisions made today. That's not inherently wrong, especially for projects with lasting value, but it does mean we have an obligation to be thoughtful, transparent, ensure the investment truly benefits the community over the long term. It's important to weigh whether the benefit of the project will be felt just as strongly in 10 or 20 years as it is today, because those future taxpayers will still be contributing to its cost. Now, if you do that same $500,000 bond over 10 years instead of 20, the annual payment is 500, the annual payment is 59,500. Total paid over 10 years is 595,000. Total interest paid is 95,000. Look at, I'm not saying that we're against bonds. I'm not
Right,
saying we're against the sidewalks. I'm just giving you part of the story.
right.
That what we're doing right now is going to affect our younger generation.
It's again,
That's,
look at the whole picture, not
mhm.
just this, the whole picture. This
Yeah,
isn't just now. And again, going along with your voice being heard, along with other people's voice being heard, who are the people who are going to be here long term, full time, not just part time here, full time here, and have other generations they want to see here? These are the
correct.
ones that are going to be, who's to
Yep.
say that people that are part time living or even their another next generations are even going to be here? But you want yours to be, and we're going to be here. So
Yeah. So it's
something to
important.
really think about.
It's important. And again, I'm not saying that we're for it against it. Um,
It's just
I know
everything that needs to be looked at.
the big picture, maintenance,
Yep.
all of it. We need to have cognitive thinking. And the one thing that I will tell you is that I'm pretty sure I overheard when I went to see the auditor myself, because I needed to give him some paperwork, was I do believe, and how many times did I say this during the campaign? We need to be budget forecasting,
Yep.
not just for the next year, at least 3 to 5 years out. And I'm pretty sure that was brought up to our town supervisor by the auditor. I'm not 100% sure about that. I do know that Chris Patterson was talking to him about budget forecasting for park improvements because I did hear that. So we need to do that because we're just always looking at the next year.
Yeah.
What's going to happen as we go on and go on.
Yep.
All right, so now time for the school budget. Like I said, they broke it down, and did not go over this with a fine tooth comb, but I'm going to hit the highlights, and then I will do a deeper dive. But this is what I came up with. All right. So it's in 3 parts right now. There is another budget meeting that's coming up in April. I'm not sure of the date. And again, this is 3 parts. The first part is the basics, buildings, maintenance, and food. Costs are going up. Obviously, that's, not the school's fault really, but it's mostly expected stuff. Equipment, fuel, electric, staffing. There's $100,000 capital project that brings back state aid the following year, and the cafeteria program, the food program. This is awesome news, is now self-sustaining, which actually helps the budget instead of pulling from it. So that part is really about keeping things running. The second part is where things start to shift. This is staffing, special education, and transportation. Enrollment is down in some grades, so they're reducing a couple of teaching positions through attrition. But at the same time, other costs are going up, especially special ed education benefits and transportation. They're also adding positions like a full-time special ed director. So you're seeing savings in one area, but increases in others that are harder to control. I just want to stop there for a minute. Understand that we're losing kids in this school. So
Hmm.
when people want to talk about affordable housing, we're not going to have school. If we don't do something to bring more kids in, we're not going to have school.
Exactly. It's already very
Conversation
tiny. It's already very
conversation for
small.
another time. Then the third part is where it all comes together. The total budget is projected to increase by about 6%, but the allowable tax levy increases about 4.32%. Even if they use the full tax cap plus around 400,000 in fund balance and some debt service funds, there's still a projected gap of roughly $300,000. That number could change depending on things like state aid, insurance rates, contract negotiation, but that's where it stands now. You just have to remember that just as is happening with the town, school taxes were not raised for many years. Although expenses go up every year, we're not raising taxes to cover that. So the position that the
Right.
school is going to be in, I would be very surprised if we're not into for budget season 2027. On the revenue side, state aid is only increasing modestly, roughly around 1% in foundation aid. So while costs are rising faster, one of the main revenue sources isn't keeping pace. So when you put it all together, this isn't just about one decision or 1 year, it's a combination of rising costs, limited revenue growth, and past decisions that great. So quick overview. Again, I pulled these right off of the school board's website. These are not the PowerPoint presentations, these are just the summaries. Okay, so presentation number 1. This is pretty short. The new Lebanon School District has begun planning for the 2026-27 school year budget with a focus on maintaining a balanced budget, supporting student learning, and remaining within the New York State tax cap. The district is committed to transparency and keeping the community informed throughout the process. Budget decisions will continue through the spring with a public budget hearing scheduled for May 6th. Public meeting May 6th with the election on May 19th. Facilities and maintenance, key areas of focus on this month's budget presentation include maintaining safe and functional facilities through planned replacement of aging equipment, including a maintenance truck used for snow removal and a $100,000 capital outlay project to address facility needs. The food service program, in addition, the district's participation in the community eligibility program allows all students to receive free breakfast and lunch, and increased participation has made the food service program financially self-sustaining. And I do owe Craig Skirkus an apology because I did not know that all of the kids were getting free lunch and free breakfast. So that's awesome. There's
Yeah.
also a little, of course, it'll be backwards, a little screenshot of what's what in this first presentation. All right. Number 2, based on current projections, the maximum allowable tax levy increase for 2026-27 is estimated at approximately 3.85%, or about 413,617 in additional levy revenue. This projection will be updated as final state data, including the CPI and tax-based growth factor, becomes available. So here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. The state aid that the school gets is based off the median income in the town of in the school tax zone. So our median income, for obvious reasons, has gone up based on who's been moving here. So our tax assistant from the state goes down. So it's important to keep that in mind. The project blah 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 becomes available. This district continues to closely monitor health insurance costs, including a projected 3% increase for medical insurance and a 16% increase for prescription. Retirement contribution rates with TRS, I don't know, TRS is projected at 8.24%, down from 9.59%. And ERS projected at 17.6, up from 16.5. Enrollment and staffing. Elementary enrollment projects at Walter B. Howard show declining class sizes. As a result, 2 teaching positions are being eliminated, which they're going to combine kindergarten and first grade sections. The junior senior high school staffing remains stable. 1 additional teaching assistant has been budgeted to support students with special ed needs. A full-time special education director position is recommended to strengthen program oversight and compliance. The budget prioritizes self-contained special education classrooms, serves up to 24 students, and also significantly reduces reliance on costly outside placements. While the district plans conservatively for potential increases in special education needs, no foster care placements are anticipated, and the budget has been reduced by 50,000 in this area. I don't know what that means, but that makes me sad. No foster care placements are anticipated. Doesn't make me sad that they're not anticipated. Makes me sad that
This is even a thing for they, right? That
there's
exists.
situations where foster care placements are. Planning includes contingency funding in case additional outside placements become necessary. Transportation capital planning. In May, voters will be asked to consider a bus bond proposal totaling $304,848, which includes 1 66-passenger bus, 1 handicap accessible bus. This will not increase taxes because
Excuse
we're
me.
keeping our debt and state aid flat. This bond approach allows the district to replace aging buses, ensure student safety, and spread costs over time, rather than funding purchase all at once. And they did that last year. I think they're doing the buses little by little. Next step, March Board of Education meeting will include updated budget projections, fund balance, reserve information, budget balancing, et cetera, et cetera. All right, number 3. So I'm just getting the highlights here. Key points of the preliminary budget include a proposed budget of $16,341,000, approximately a 6% increase from 25-26. Tax cap limit, the district may increase the tax levy up to 4.32%, generating approximately $463,604 in additional revenue. Even with the maximum allowable tax levy increase, the district may still face a projected budget gap of about $321,000. What's driving that cost is employee benefits, technology replacements, facility operations and transportation, planned investment, full-time special ed director, capital project, replacing of computers, server replacement plan for aging infrastructure, replacement of truck and sander. And this is important, the variables, like health insurance rates and variable. CSCA negotiations variable. New York State aid allocations variable. So the next step is another budget meeting. April 1st, budget workshop. April 14th is the budget adoption. May 6th is the hearing. And May 19th is the vote. So that is the quick rundown. If you want to actually see the numbers, I can go over those a little more in depth next week. But go to their website, it's broken down very easily.
Right.
There's graphs, there's, per line item. I will put the link in the video. So that's all we got for this week. Next week, we will be doing our regular podcast as well as our freestyle podcast, which Katie and Tammy are going to be handling. And I'm going to be rah, rah, go, go.
I'm sure you'll have input.
Yeah, maybe. Or
We
not.
all have input. Mental health
We all have
affects
input
us
for
all.
sure. Yeah, it does. So again, thank you for your time that you spend with us. Get involved. Have your voice heard. It's as simple as doing an email for privilege of the floor at the board meetings or go in
Whatever we
person.
do.
Help us help you.
Help us help you.
Jerry Maguire, help us help you. Have a fabulous weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.